I haven't seen any of them, but I kind of get the idea because Duolingo's biggest criticism is usually that it teaches you phrases that aren't very natural or they're not very commonly used in a normal conversation. So you would say, my house is blue, my brother
Yeah.
is a man. And these simple phrases that I think are good when you're starting out learning a language and you're learning from scratch. I think these applications are great just to give you a kind of little bit of a push to motivate you through gamification, to learn a few phrases, a little bit of grammar. But if, for example, you are watching this or listening to this podcast right now, I doubt you're going to get much value out of Duolingo and most language learning apps, but that's
Yeah.
just my. Ready? Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Inglés Británico podcast. I'm Lewis from Inglés con Lewis, and here we have my lovely co-host, Chris. Chris, how are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm really good. Thanks. I'm a little bit tired. I'm not hungover. I'm just a
Okay,
little bit
good.
tired. I watched Frankenstein on Netflix last night. I
Oh.
started it quite late, but wow, so captivating. And it's a really great adjective I love. It was so captivating. I have a very short attention span, and normally I'm looking at my phone when Netflix is on. No, this 2.5 hour film, I didn't look at my phone once. I was glued to the screen. I don't know if you've seen the new Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro.
No, I haven't seen it, but I have read a couple of reviews and people saying it's such an ambitious project that, of course, maybe they've spent a lot of money making the film. They've got a good cast as well, lots of special effects. And we were going to watch it on Friday night, but myself and my fiance were absolutely knackered. We were shattered. We were exhausted. And this was at 10:30, 11 o'clock. And we saw that it's a 2.5 hour film. So it was like, okay, maybe next weekend. But yeah, would you recommend it in that case?
I would highly recommend it. Yeah, I mean, I'm very easy to please, but as I mentioned, my attention span is difficult to hold. So even though I like films very easily, it's difficult for me to pay attention 100% of the time. But this film really held my attention. I was glued to the screen. As you mentioned, the acting was amazing, the dialogue was incredible. So yeah, I'm a little bit tired for that reason, but definitely worth a watch, which I love this expression. It's worth a watch. But you mentioned you were quite tired as well. I think you just got back from a little trip, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was my nephew's second birthday at the weekend, so I went back home to celebrate with him, bought him lots of little toys related to dinosaurs. We went out for a meal and had some quality time with family. So it was just an express trip. And then we flew back to Brussels yesterday. But, the problem is the flight is only 1 hour, but then door to door, it takes like 6, 7 hours. So we ended up getting home at around midnight. So as soon as you arrive home, straight to bed, straight to sleep. And today, I don't have the busiest day ever because knowing that I blocked a few hours because I was like, oh, I'm going to be so tired. So I blocked some hours, luckily, but I'm still feeling the effect. I think the trip
Yeah.
took its toll on me, which is a lovely expression, which has a nice translation in Spanish as well. So, take its toll on you is pasarte factura. So, the trip
Okay.
took its toll on me. El viaje me pasó factura. So, yeah, as a
Oh,
result, oh, I'm
you
knackered.
taught me some Spanish there. Yeah, I didn't know that. So pasar factura. So it's not pasar la factura, it's pasar factura.
Yeah, pasar factura, and I think usually it's used like te pasa factura, so it's more
Yeah, me pasa
reflexive, I
factura.
believe.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, so that's something new for me. Yeah.
you've
So does
learned.
your nephew? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you go first.
No, no, no. I was gonna say something because I just remembered that you also taught a nice phrase that I liked, I think, last week, and it was mark my words. And
Yeah.
when you were recommending this Frankenstein film, I was thinking, oh, he could use this phrase right now. Mark my words, it's an amazing film. Mark my words, it is captivating. So, ¿qué significa mark my words?
So mark my words is like créame, va a pasar. En español sería créame porque estoy seguro que va a pasar. Yeah. Mark my words. Trust me, this is going to happen. It's not trust me como confía en mí por una acción. No, it's lo que digo va a pasar. It's interesting you mentioned I could have used it when talking about Frankenstein. Although it is very common, I don't use it because I don't like my stamp of approval, which is
Uh-huh.
another great expression. So if I say, mark my words, Frankenstein is amazing, and then you or one of our viewers or listeners is like, that wasn't amazing, then my stamp of approval is ruined. It's like you can't believe what Chris says. So I'm always careful about when saying mark my words. I need to be 100% certain. And obviously films are subjective. I loved it. Maybe someone else might not. So yeah, but great expression, mark my words.
Well, by this time next week, I guarantee I will have watched it. So I'll let you know. Let's see what my rating will be. Maybe I'll say, oh, 10 out of 10, must watch. Or maybe it will let me down. Maybe it will disappoint me. And given that we spoke about phrasal verbs last week, let somebody down, let someone down is to disappoint them, decepcionar. So yeah, hopefully it won't let
Yeah.
me down.
Well, I mean, I also have a kind of special connection. We mentioned in a few episodes ago about school subjects, and I mentioned English literature and how we studied a lot of Gothic literature. For example, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. So
Uh-huh.
it was very nostalgic for me to watch this film. It was a great expression. It was very true to the books. Maybe not perfect, so true to the books, como es muy parecido al libro. Es como no han cambiado el libro mucho. Un poco sí, yeah. It's not completely true to the books. They've added some stuff in to make it more exciting for modern viewers. But
Mhm.
the general plot, la trama, la historia, the general plot is very true to the books. So maybe that's why I loved it for that nostalgic connection.
Perfect. Well, let's see. As I said, I'll let you know and I'll keep you posted whether I like it
Yeah.
or it lets me down. But now let's kick on and continue with the main topic of the week, which is language learning apps. And before we get on to the apps that we use and our opinions and our most used apps, I'm curious because in general, there are so many different language learning apps on the market, of course. We have Babbel, Busuu, Duolingo, to name just a few. But Chris, what do you think about language learning apps? Are they useful or a bit useless?
I think there's a time and a place. I do think they are useful. Anything, any English learning tool is useful. However, I don't think it's replacing teachers. And I'm not saying that because we are teachers and it's our job. I think you need that human interaction. Language is interaction. And at the end of the day, language is about communicating with people. So an app, whether it be ChatGPT or Babbel or Duolingo, yeah, I think they're great. Duolingo, for example, I don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to mention it later, I'm sure. But it's great for vocabulary, definitely. Like for learning vocabulary, it's great. But have you seen all those viral social media videos with people like, this is how I speak because of Duolingo? And
Uh-huh.
it's really just, yeah, my brother is a man. Things like that are like, like loads of viral videos. I don't know if you saw any of those videos.
I haven't seen any of them, but I kind of get the idea because Duolingo's biggest criticism is usually that it teaches you phrases that aren't very natural or they're not very commonly used in a normal conversation. So you would say, my house is blue, my brother
Yeah.
is a man. And these simple phrases that I think are good when you're starting out learning a language and you're learning from scratch. I think these applications are great just to give you a kind of little bit of a push to motivate you through gamification, to learn a few phrases, a little bit of grammar. But if, for example, you are watching this or listening to this podcast right now, I doubt you're going to get much value out of Duolingo and most language learning apps, but that's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
No, totally. I think it's a very basic kind of the very, very beginner level. For example, I started using Duolingo a few months ago for French. And because of it, Shane is dog, chat is cat. I can't speak French. I can't say sentences, but I do have more French vocabulary now than before Duolingo. So, yeah, I think if you're at a level where you can understand me and Lewis talking, then no, Duolingo is not going to be very helpful for you. But if you're watching or listening to this and you do not understand a single word we are saying, maybe start with Duolingo. Just, okay, hello, goodbye, the very basics. I think it can be, again, as I mentioned earlier, it can be useful, but additional, not replacing a teacher, even at a very beginner level. I think why not have both? Have a teacher, if you have the luxury, obviously, I know it is a luxury that not everybody can afford. But if you have the luxury, a teacher and Duolingo and other apps that I'm sure we'll mention later as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it's the level, I think.
No, 100%. And as you mentioned, we'll probably get onto this and go into a little bit more depth, speaking about different apps and what we recommend. So, that said, let's continue and let's go over las mejores apps para aprender inglés. So,
Yeah.
let
So
me share
just
my screen.
and just to clarify, obviously, me and Lewis haven't added any of these company apps that we mentioned earlier. The Babbel, maybe these ones, the paid apps. We didn't want to mention these because we didn't want to sound like we were promoting anything. We're not. We don't work for Babbel. We don't work for any of these companies. So yeah, you might not see any of these companies for that reason, not because they're not good or they are good, just because we didn't want to include them.
And just as I was saying, las mejores apps, I thought it's probably worth mentioning, remember worth plus ing, it's worth mentioning that many Spaniards who are learning English will start speaking English and then say app.
Yeah.
See, like I downloaded a new app, and we never ever say this in English. It would always be an app or, of course, an application, but never, no digas nunca, app. App or application. Perfect.
¿Sabes lo que es muy divertido? Que con los acrónimos, with the acronyms, in English, we do say the individual letters, CIA, MI6, pero los españoles siempre dicen como una palabra, so it's la FIA or UFO. So, like,
Uh-huh.
with the acronyms, they say the whole word when they should say the individual letters. And then with app, it's not an acronym, it's a shortened version of application, but then they say APP. So it's like kind of the wrong way around. Yeah.
Great. And that is funny. There are these little things, and then the other funny one I think is always el Wi-Fi. Sí, sí.
Wi-Fi. Yeah. Yeah.
Conéctate al Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That, of
Okay.
course.
Acabo de decir, dicen mal, pero me refiero en inglés. Obviamente en español está mal decir Wi-Fi and app. Yeah, en español no es app y Wi-Fi. Yeah.
El Wi-Fi. Claro, claro que
Yeah.
sí, el Wi-Fi. Anyway, getting on, and let's start with, in my opinion, this could even be the first one. It depends on how you use it, but in my top three, I would say one of the best apps for kind of anything in life nowadays, but also to improve your English or other language skills is ChatGPT. Of course, I do have ChatGPT downloaded on my phone. Here you can see it. And I use it for so many things. I use it to help creating content. I use it to provide notes in my classes. I use it to write better emails. I use it for pretty much everything nowadays, which maybe is a little bit of a problem and it's a bit worrying in itself. But the great thing about ChatGPT and the best thing about it is the voice mode. So if you have the application, you can speak to ChatGPT for, I think, 10 minutes per day, more or less, without paying for the paid version. And that way you can practice your speaking, which, of course, this is usually what people want to improve. And using ChatGPT, you can have a chat with the robot, the thing, about whatever you want. You can even give it instructions to uh, offer synonyms, correct mistakes, and you can essentially just have conversations, a daily conversation with ChatGPT to work on your speaking skills, which most people are not able to do. And then at the end, you'll be able to read all of the transcript. So you can reread what you were speaking about for 10 minutes and then go over any new words, phrases, then maybe ask ChatGPT to explain these new words and phrases, ask ChatGPT to offer some synonyms, provide some example sentences. So, ChatGPT, whilst not being a language learning app, is probably the best app that we have available together with Gemini, for example, which is Google's version of ChatGPT, where you can speak, you can ask questions, you can get clarifications, lots of example sentences. Basically, the possibilities are endless. So,
Yeah.
ChatGPT for me is, oh, amazing.
I don't know, have you ever designed any interactive games with ChatGPT?
I mean, I've done a lot of things with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's going to come
So
across like I don't do anything myself, but yeah, I've done a lot of different things.
So there's this really, again, maybe one of our viewers might like this idea. Something I use ChatGPT for with English learning is to design an interactive game where your choices decide the rest of the story. Very similar to those old school games like press F to go in the cave or
Uh-huh.
press G to go to the village. So I don't know, set a scenario. I want a sci-fi or detective story where I have to answer English questions to solve the case or the investigation. And if you answer incorrectly, then maybe you don't solve the case and your story has a bad ending. But if you answer your English questions correctly, you have a positive outcome. And I love it. So if anyone likes that kind of interactive game scenario where your decisions mark the story and decide the story, then that's a great idea with ChatGPT as well. And it can be spoken, of course.
It sounds good. I like it. Trust you to offer this
Yeah.
kind of interesting, slightly geeky version of using
Yeah.
ChatGPT. But no, it sounds fun. I reckon I'd really get into it. I would become interested in the story and like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, I mean, it's great for any Dungeons and Dragons players. It's very kind of that vibe where, okay, there are 20 orcs attacking. What do you do? And so again, in English, you have to tell ChatGPT what you would do in that scenario. But if you explain badly in English, then the orcs are gonna hypothetically kill you in the scenario. So yeah, something like that. Great for any nerds or geeks like me. Yeah,
So yeah, speak good English, or the orcs will come after you.
exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's go over the next one. And it is, of course, Duolingo. So take it away, Chris.
Well, I think I can do this very quickly because it's exactly what I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. I think it's great for vocabulary at a very, very, very beginner level. I don't think it's useful once you get past A1. But for A1 learners, it's free, it's gamified, it gives you vocabulary, it teaches you basic grammar, which is the foundation of any language. So I think we can really move on to the next one from there because I kind of mentioned it earlier. But yeah, it's really that A1 learners vocabulary and basic grammar to give yourself a foundation so that you can attend English classes or you can watch Netflix and understand some of it at least.
Clay, perfect. No, I agree 100%. And as I said, it's the same for most other language learning apps as well. It's good to get you into the language to provide you with a nice little distraction that could be a little bit addictive. So your
Yeah,
first interest and passion for the language can continue to develop. But I think as your skills develop at the same time, you'll start to realize where maybe Duolingo and these kind of apps can fall a little bit short when it comes to learning new vocabulary, improving your language. And that's where I think we need to just consume the language, communicate using the language, and basically immerse yourself in English or another language. And Duolingo, I don't think
yeah.
it quite does that.
No, not at all. Just very quickly, you mentioned the other language learning apps, and I completely agree. But I think we can agree Duolingo is the OG. For any list, this is a very new acronym, which means the original, the OG. So yeah, Duolingo, the OG, is my number three for very basic beginner learners.
Clearly, the original gangster.
Yeah, yeah. Is he original gangster? Is that why I thought it was just original?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be original
It makes
gangster.
sense because yeah, it's an acronym, so it'd be O and G. I thought maybe it was just original and so on, just OG. I think in context, yeah, it just means original. This is the OG laptop, the OG something. Yeah, but that makes sense. The original gangster. Yeah,
And as it's an acronym, as you mentioned before, we don't say it's the OG, it's
it's
the
the odd.
OG.
Yeah.
All right. Now, anyway, speaking about immersing yourself in a language, I've put the next one as YouTube. And if I say YouTube, you could also maybe argue that Spotify does a very, very similar thing. But the point of this is that you need to be consuming the language as much as possible. And of course, TikTok, Instagram, which we might speak about later, they do the same thing. But with YouTube, I think it's very interesting because you have longer videos which allow you to immerse yourself completely in the language with different stories, with podcasts like these. And since these applications and technology exists, it's so much easier to live in one country while artificially immersing yourself in another language. So, if you live in Spain, but you want to improve your English, you can follow all sorts of channels in English, not necessarily for specifically learning English, but news channels, different influencers, YouTubers who speak in English. And all the while, you're just watching the videos, you're focusing on what they're saying, looking up different words, phrases, and idioms. And then the more you see this new vocabulary, the more it'll click and get easier. I mentioned the phrase mark my words that Chris taught on his Instagram page last week. After he taught that phrase, I saw three, four, five different people from YouTube channels, films, series using the same one. And I was like, okay, yeah, even I didn't realize how common it is, but look at it. And I'm sure you as a learner will do the same thing, where when you discover new words and phrases, by immersing yourself in the language, you'll then see it popping up again and again and again. And this will help to really memorize these words. So, to sum up, YouTube is my second best application to improve your English.
I like how you mentioned, yes, the longer form videos. I think a good example of maybe one of these apps which isn't that great for English. I'm not saying it's bad, but maybe isn't great, is TikTok. The reason I say this is because a lot of the videos there isn't even any speaking. It's, a trending audio, a trending song, maybe some dancing, maybe some comedy, but there's very little conversations in English. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Obviously, it's immersion, but yeah, maybe TikTok is one of the examples of maybe not the best because it's very audio, like music focused and trending focused, whereas YouTube, longer videos, you can have stories or classes or podcasts, etc.
Exactly. Now, I think in recent years in particular, I've become more and more of a fan of YouTube. And I even read a stat last week or the week before that nowadays more people consume YouTube than Netflix, even on
Wow.
TVs. So YouTube, it's a huge world. And of course, you can have like high quality films and stuff like that. You can also have lots of AI generated stuff. And then you can have teachers like Chris and myself who provide, let's say, intermediate level content for people who maybe struggle when it comes to watching a series, documentary, or a film, but they can understand two people speaking relatively slowly whilst explaining new words and phrases. So, yeah, YouTube.
I was gonna say, I love the kind of the little self promotion there of oh, what a happy coincidence. We've just launched an Inglés Británico podcast. Like, what a happy coincidence. Yeah.
I mean, you've got to selflessly and shamelessly promote sometimes. It is what it is.
It's true. But I mean, but like you said, yeah, we had this idea because of the growing popularity of YouTube, of podcasts, sorry. So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Awesome. Now, next one, Chris, tell me about this.
Well, first thing, LinkedIn. No, guys, it's not LinkedIn. I understand the mistake. Linked in. Yeah, it's linked el pasado, el verbo en el pasado. Linked in the past tense. Linked in. So the reason for LinkedIn, very similar to YouTube, but kind of more focused to the professional side of things. A lot of my students, I'm sure a lot of your students as well, they want to learn English to get better jobs, to understand native speakers in meetings, or have the confidence to give presentations in English. So I think for specifically the professional English side of things, LinkedIn is a fantastic tool. You can have slightly longer videos, maybe not 20, 30 minutes, but I've seen some videos on LinkedIn, up to 5 minutes long. But you also can have the short form videos. You also get posts with maybe phrases. You get news articles, which again, you follow your interests in the business world, and then you receive news articles with vocabulary. Maybe mix it with ChatGPT so you can copy and paste new vocabulary to get meanings or exercises. So, yeah, again, very similar to YouTube. It's the immersion in English, something you can use every day with interests that you have, but in a more professional environment. I personally don't use LinkedIn at all, not even for promotion of my own classes. I started posting videos for the English Con Chris on LinkedIn, but no, I just stopped. Are you still using LinkedIn with the Inglés con Lewis?
Ah, like, I try, but it's difficult to stay motivated with LinkedIn because maybe I don't see that much of a response and that much engagement. I always kind of tell myself every few weeks if I don't post videos or different like stories, I tell myself like, "Oh, come on, Lewis, don't give up. You should continue doing
Yeah,
it because LinkedIn is at the end of the day another social network and it's a way of
yeah,
connecting with people, of promoting our classes, for example." So I might try to, you know, find motivation to keep posting, but at the moment, I'm struggling to find the motivation to post on LinkedIn. And
yeah,
another little thing related to LinkedIn, which is an advantage compared to maybe, I don't know, YouTube, for example, is that you have so many real people and so many people are writing different opinions and stories about their job. So, LinkedIn is a really good way of getting some reading practice, of course, business English reading practice. And it's full of real people. It's not just creators, where on YouTube, for example, you've got people who work professionally in many cases as YouTubers. Whereas with LinkedIn, you got people connecting, commenting, so you can immerse yourself again just by reading what other people are posting about their job, about the economy, about
Yeah.
finance, and you can see the comments of whether people agree, disagree, and so on. So that's a nice little advantage of LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. And I think like same as you mentioned with YouTube, you don't necessarily have to follow English teachers like myself or Lewis, but just any kind of subject. If you're in finance, maybe just follow finance and things like that. TED Talks as well. There'll be links. I'm sure there will be. I don't really use it, but I'm sure in LinkedIn there are links to TED Talks about that subject. So then there's listening practice as well. Yeah, for the professional side of things, number two is LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, let's move on. And
Yeah.
I thought so. So I thought I'd show them both at the same time. And
Self-promotion. Yeah.
slightly. I mean, this is a little bit perhaps controversial because we did say that TikTok maybe isn't the best app to learn English or to improve your language learning skills. However, we've both put Instagram as the number one. And I'll give you my thoughts on this. Personally, I don't use TikTok. I enter every day to post a video,
Yeah.
but that's it. I never actually consume content on TikTok. Maybe it's a little bit silly, lots of dancing, lots of kind of random images without speaking. Whereas Instagram, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So, un arma de doble filo. So it can be very good, but it can also be very bad. And this completely depends on you. It depends on your discipline and your willpower to be able to use Instagram for good and not for distractions and doom scrolling. Because if you choose to only follow people who speak English, whether that's teachers or famous people, that's up to you. You can again artificially immerse yourself in the language. Maybe people who are into makeup and fashion, they will follow different makeup artists, models, famous people, magazines, different TV channels as well. And you can be scrolling whilst also immersing yourself in English. And you have lots of captions as well. So, pretty much all of the videos have subtitles, which is nice and useful so that you can understand everything. If you're scrolling and going from story to story, again, you are learning English without even realizing. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I've put it slightly ahead of YouTube, partly because Instagram people use it just to relax and waste time, and you concentrate less when using Instagram. But if you are following the right channels, you can still learn almost without thinking. So it's seamless. And comparing that with YouTube, YouTube is more like you put something on to concentrate. So maybe it requires more energy and effort and more discipline. Whereas with Instagram, if you follow the right people, you're going to improve your English 100%. I don't know what you
Yeah, it's like
think about
second
this.
nature. Yeah. No, I
Exactly.
100% agree with you. Yeah, I'm the same as you as well. I use TikTok to post my videos, but I don't consume the content. I completely agree with you, and I think you mentioned it. I've mentioned it earlier. It's the duration of the videos as well. I think Instagram has the edge over TikTok, or is better than TikTok because it's not just 5, 10 second videos of dancing. No, there are teachers like you and me. I don't know. I know we're on TikTok as well. So I know, that Chris, what are you chatting about? But what I mean is, Instagram does have that feeling of more spoken focused. It's more focused on the even in Spanish or in English, it's people having a conversation or people telling jokes. Or I see personally very little, or sorry, very few videos of people dancing. Maybe it's my algorithm, I don't know. But
Uh,
if I open TikTok to post a video, it's all I see. But if I open Instagram, then it's normally maybe your videos. I get your videos a lot on my feed. But it's there are no kind of dancing videos. So I think for me, it's kind of Instagram's got a variety. You can even do lives now. A 1 hour Instagram live where you can give an English class. Or even again, as you mentioned, not necessarily an English class, but maybe your favorite celebrity is going live and talking about the new film that it's English and it's 20 minutes. So I think it's just you get that option of a 30-second como se dice. You've
uh
also got maybe a 2-3 minute interview, or you could even have like a 20-minute or a 1 hour Instagram live as well. So I think you've got all of those options. And as you mentioned, it's second nature. You're not trying to do it, you're just doing it anyway. So why not in English?
Exactly. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad we are on the same page, that we see eye to eye, and, you know, we agree that maybe Instagram is one of the best applications that you can use depending on your discipline to improve your English. And of course, let us know in the comments if, for example, you use Babel, Bosu, Duolingo, any of these more traditional language learning apps, because, of course, maybe you find that they are absolutely integral, they're vital and so useful. So we are all ears and all eyes to see your
Yeah.
comments. But before we finish, I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute. And I'm curious, I want to know, Chris, what apps do you use the most?
Well, as an English teacher on Instagram, I imagine the same as you. It's normally Instagram, and CapCut. I imagine, do you use CapCut?
Yeah, I use CapCut and I use it. Oh, I think more than like any consuming applications like
Yeah,
Instagram or YouTube, we use CapCut so much because we're constantly editing. It's like a full time
yeah.
job.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's a video editing app for anyone who doesn't know CapCut. So I'm the same as you, Lewis. It's just if I'm on the bus, well, I'll edit a video. If I'm flying to England, I'll edit some videos. It's just every opportunity to do something. Well, I'll edit a video. CapCut all the way. Yeah. Talking about Instagram, do you consume it a lot? Because we mentioned how TikTok we post, but we don't really consume. I don't really consume that much Instagram. A bit, but not too much. Like, I mainly use it because of my videos and looking at my engagement, responding to my comments and things like that. So that's why I use it a lot, but I don't necessarily consume a lot of it. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say it depends on the time of the year and how busy I am otherwise, because recently I've been very busy and I was maybe on the verge of burning out a little bit. So I decided, okay, maybe I need to um, cut down on my use of social media, of my phone in general. So I've deactivated all notifications on Instagram, which means that, of course, I do still use it and I do still open my phone, open the app to just make sure that I haven't got any important or interesting new messages, if people are asking about my services or anything. And then I'll always check how my daily video is doing. But
Yeah.
I don't now receive as many notifications. So before I'd be teaching and then I'd see like different notifications popping up. And it was kind of
Yeah.
getting on my nerves a little bit. And knowing that I was doing that whilst editing so much, teaching so much, I was like, okay, maybe this is a bit too much. So I've
Yeah.
started a little bit of an Instagram detox. So to respond to your
Nice.
question, no, I don't really consume it that much, but I do still open it every couple of hours.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yes, I love he's in the checking the daily video. I do exactly as oh, how many views has this
It's like, is
video
it
got
doing well? Is it
now?
doing well?
Yeah, it's that refresh. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Please, 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 please be doing well. And
Yeah.
then if you
But
see that it's doing really well, you're like, come on.
yeah, exactly. Especially like the first hour, it's like, oh, this might be a good one. This might be a really good one. I'm trying to think of other apps. Obviously, as a single man, I do use Tinder, but not that much. Like it's I joke about it a lot, and I use it in my Instagram videos. Not the app, but I use it in my examples. But like that, in a more kind of jokey way to just make it light-hearted and fun. But I'm not gonna lie, I do use it every now and then. Yeah, it's frustrating as well. So it's the same as Instagram. It's very frustrating, but I occasionally check it anyway.
I mean, other ones that I could think of that I use Sky Sports to check different football and sports. And I use Canva a little bit for
Yeah,
different images. I play fantasy football as well. So at the weekend, I always check that application. I've got my banking apps as well, which obviously I'll have a
yeah.
look at. And then, yeah, I think those
I
are the
try
main
not
ones.
to. I try not to look at my bank apps too much. But maybe just once a week, just so I don't cry every day. But I only cry once a week. Yeah,
Everything in moderation, you know?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, from there, let's finish off with the joke of the week. So, Chris, take it away once again. And yeah, I want to hear this bad dad joke.
Cool. So today's bad dad joke, I think, is a good dad joke. So let's see, or a good bad dad joke, should we say? It's a good
Mhm.
bad dad joke. So, what do you call a can opener which doesn't work? So, abre latas for anyone watching. What do you call a can opener that doesn't work?
Well, if it doesn't work, I'm guessing it's negative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Go on, Chris, what is
So,
it?
oh no, no, God, you guessed it. You know the answer. You can say the punchline. Yeah.
So, what do
Let,
you
wait, wait,
call?
let me set you up again. Let me set you up. So, Lewis, what do you call a can opener which doesn't work?
I'm not sure. Is it maybe a can't opener?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. A cart opener. Yeah. I always I tell my students this, not the joke, sorry, but this pronunciation, obviously with a southern British accent, the can and the can't is very easy to distinguish. You obviously have a very neutral accent nowadays because of your career as a teacher. We've spoken about this in previous episodes, but in the original northern accent, would you say a can't opener or would you say
I mean, I think it depends. I can't. It'd be like,
also, would it not be a
can't
can't?
opener. No, no, no. So
Oh,
in
okay.
American English, it's very difficult to differentiate between can and can't. But even in the north of England, we also it's maybe a more of an can't, can't, a
Okay.
can't
Because
opener.
I swear I've met Scousers, and if anyone what a Scouser, someone from Liverpool, they're like, "Hey, he can do this, he can do it, man." Or they say, "Can he?" Actually, don't they? He can he do it? Oh, that's Scottish. He can he do it? Yeah.
I think canny
Sorry.
is more
Yeah,
Geordie, and
yeah. So
then
I get distracted.
every different
Uh,
city's maybe a little bit different. But usually people confuse it if it's Americans, because Americans, when
yeah.
they say can and can't, it's very,
Can't.
very difficult to differentiate. But most British
Yeah.
accents, you say can, positive, and
Okay.
can't, which is like a car. You drive a car. Car,
Yeah.
can't. Can't
Because
opener.
I know this happens a lot with the letter A, the pronunciation of the A in the north and the south of England, where I might say a bath in the south of England, but someone from the north might say a bath
A bath,
or
yeah, I'd say a bath.
castle. Yeah, a bath. Or I'd say a castle, and you would say
A castle.
a castle. Yeah, castle, castle. So it is quite interesting. I thought it was the same with can and can't, but no, so I was wrong about that. So even in
Nah,
the
that's
north, it's can and can't. Yeah.
exactly. But it's a good joke anyway. I like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
So we got a bit distracted there by accents, northern accents. Yeah.
Maybe we can speak about different accents and compare and kind of investigate the differences between different accents in the United Kingdom in an upcoming podcast. But
Oh, definitely. We don't have time today, but I really want to ask you, can you do any impressions? But maybe we'll save it and do a specific episode about it. Yeah.
we'll do a specific one. I think maybe we can practice in advance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let us know what applications you like the most to improve your English, and feel free to leave a like and follow for more. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.